Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. So welcome to the first Compatible Use Study Implementation Committee meeting. I'm Paul Rochette. I'm the new JLUS Planning Manager. I still use the word JLUS because that's what we're all used to, but now we're officially the Compatible Use Study. But if that's one of our first decisions, so we want to keep using JLUS in our name, or do we not? So anyway, until we make a decision, otherwise I'll just refer to JLUS. This is a new grant from the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, and used to be called the Office of Economic Adjustment. So it's the third grant in a series, the first two, and Ann will be down here soon. Ann Werner, who's been here at PPACG for 5 years through the whole planning grant, knows many of you, if not most of you, and knows the program, knows what we need to be doing, and I'm just coming up to speed. But essentially, we, by bylaws, will have an implementation committee. It used to be called the Implementation Policy Committee and an Implementation Technical Committee, and we rolled it into one. So you folks are all on this committee. So thank you for coming. We've got a number of new tasks with this new grant that we have to pull together. There are 6 tasks. One is just standing up this committee. That's the easiest, of course. There are 4 tasks that actually address very specific issues, and we'll go over those in the meeting here. And then there's a 6th task, which is basically continue to provide planning support under the efforts that had begun previously, and Ann will speak to that one as well. So I've kind of laid out an agenda here. We've got the official agenda, and the first one is call to order and quorum and introductions. And as I understand it, the former chair and vice chair are no longer in those roles, so we don't have a chair or a vice chair. So I think one of our first tasks will be to see if we have anyone that would like to be nominated, or to nominate someone else, or just to volunteer. So and before we do that, I think it might be very helpful for all of us to do a very quick introduction, so we know who everyone here is and who you represent, and then we go from that point. So if you could provide your title, your role, and if you have any past efforts with this JLUS committee, and finally, what do you hope to get out of this committee? So I'd really like to understand what you folks are really looking for from us and from your efforts here. So before we get going, this is Ann Werner, for those who don't know Ann, and really Ann is the brains of this operation. So she'll answer many of the questions, I'm sure. So anyhow, we're a great team, and I'm so glad to have her on working with me. So with that, should we just do introductions first, and then maybe see if we have anyone who would like to volunteer to be a chair or vice chair? And if not, we won't be able to be an official meeting tonight or this morning, but we'll go ahead and conduct everything in an informational manner. Does that sound appropriate there, Andy? Okay, all right. So Andy, could I have you start?
Sure, thank you. My name is Andy Gunning. I'm the Executive Director for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. I guess my role in the JLUS program is to stay out of the way of Paul and Ann and the working group, and let you guys do what you need to do, but help where I can, wherever I can. We're super excited. It took a little bit of time to kind of get everything in place for this second grant, but we're really excited. We've got some really great tasks in front of us for the next 2 years, and anxious to kind of get things moving. So we'll just maybe go down the way.
Let's go on down the path here.
Keith Klein, I'm chairman of the Defense Mission Task Force. I'd served on previous policy or technical committees here for the JLUS. We'll wait and see what comes of it. I'm anxious to see us focus on these tasks and get it done. I would like to hear some more about what the expectations might be for a chairman or vice chairman before we get to that part. But
okay. All right.
But,
thank you, Keith.
Mr. Kevin Weaver, I'm the airfield manager at Peterson. What we're looking to get out of this meeting is just to be better partners from the military side of all the aircraft coming in, and just seeing how the environment adjusts to all the changes that will be happening around the area.
Okay, thank you, Kevin.
Morning, everybody. Craig Dossie. I'm the planning director for El Paso County. I don't really know when I started working with JLUS. It feels like it's been a long time, Keith. I think I've been involved maybe since the beginning. Certainly served on the technical advisory committee. Had PPACG as well as the military involved in our new master plan that was recently adopted. I think that went very well. So what I hope to get out of this is kind of bridging the gap between master planning and implementation of our master plan, as well as some of the chapters in the JLUS plan.
Great. Thank you, Greg.
And I nominate Keith for whatever position he'll take.
I second that, but I don't have a vote. Okay.
Yeah, I'm John Sanders. I work at Master Planning for Carson. I was involved in the JLUS implementation over the last few years. So we just want to continue our partnership and grow where we can. Right?
Great, great.
I'm Joe Wyka. I'm the new Director of Public Works at Fort Carson. I was there since '08. Mostly as an engineering chief, and I took charge in November.
Okay.
So I'm still getting up to speed with a lot of things. But wildfire mitigation, I know my boss would say is a high priority in his mind.
Got it.
Maine and others. So that's probably what catches our eye most of this.
Okay, great.
There we go. Ashley Whitworth, I'm the program administrator for the Colorado Springs Fire Department Wildfire Mitigation Section. And this is new to me. So I think what I'm looking forward to is just collaborating on wildfire mitigation and trying to get more mitigation work done here in the city and working with everybody.
My name is Brett Lacey. I'm the fire marshal with the Colorado Springs Fire Department. We are very excited to be here, particularly seeing that topic of wildfire mitigation. Our department has been fortunate enough to establish a lot of relationships nationally, well, I'll say even internationally, with folks who have come here to try to see what we're doing and how we get it done, which is very flattering. But the opportunities nationwide are expanding as we see the current threats to wildfire that we have even today on the news. We're talking about it on a daily basis out on the West Coast and northern central portions of the United States. We understand our risk here. We have tremendous allies in our partners, that being Department of Defense, of course, the bases and things we have around, the Air Force Academy, USAFA. So we are excited to leverage funding that we have budgeted and made available, as well as trying to get other federal and local grant opportunities done to try to leverage as much opportunity as we can to work together. Collaboration is our main theme. We have done that for a number of years. Colorado Springs Utilities is also a big partner of ours, but we work closely with the county and the State Division of Fire Prevention and Control. So I think the opportunities before us on this one little topic that you all have to deal with is tremendous. And we're happy to provide whatever input, expertise, or assistance we can toward the endeavor. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Shall we go to folks in the audience, if you wish?
Yeah, Mike Kozak, I'm the stepped out for about a year or so, and now stepping back in involved. The timing is fortuitous for us at Shine Mountain. Chief Arcilla and our fire department have just gone through to redo and are in the process of publishing our wildland fire mitigation plan. That's coordinated with Colorado Springs Utilities, Wildland Fire, with Colorado Springs Fire Department, with El Paso County, with Fort Carson Fire Department, Cheyenne Mountain State Park, and we're trying to get the Forest Service on board, but the one that we're missing right now. In addition to that, we're also just kicking off an effort to build a new emergency access road in Cheyenne Mountain, which will help us alleviate some of our issues with Moab Road being our ingress and egress. So we're looking at either trying to egress through Baltimore Bluffs, give a route for those citizens to transit through the base, get out of those wildland fire at Baltimore Bluffs, or to go through Cheyenne Mountain State Park. Either way, it's a win-win for us because there's better access for our wildland fire regional detachment at Cheyenne Mountain to Cheyenne Mountain State Park. You have support us. We also just finished our helipad, so it's a nice staging point with Fort Carson, with the helicopters and the fire buckets as a region. So we're excited about the effort. Chief Arcil will be our lead. We get to the working group, along with the regional wildland fire center detachment in Cheyenne Mountain. We want to make it progress, especially with the mitigation on the Pleasant Rock Hill. It's still acreage. Pleasant Rock Hill. A lot of it's in the state park. We'd like to see that. Of course, code enforcement, looking at what's happening in Baltimore Bluffs since they
Great. Thank you, Mike.
And I'm Derek Horsemeyer. I'm a community planner at Schriever Space Force Base. And we've been involved since the origins of JLUS back in 2015. And we're really grateful and excited to be partnering soon with PPACG on the primarily on the Schriever energy study. So thank you again for the opportunity to participate.
Great. Yeah. Let's see. And I don't see all the names on the screen at once, so I'm not sure of the best way to go about this, but I'll try and just call them off as I see them and see if we can go there. Mr. John Anderson.
Yes, can you hear me?
We can.
All right, good. Been having some technical difficulties on my microphone, so I'm glad you can hear me today. So my name's John Anderson. I'm the Deputy Director for the 21st Civil Engineer Squadron at Peterson Air Force Base and Cheyenne Mountain Space Force Station. And so this is my first meeting, so I'm prepared to learn as I go what my role is going to be. Imagine it'll be collaboration involved and partnering involved. And I think we have some equity in the Peterson interchange design planning with Highway 24 as well as the wildfire mitigation. So looking forward to the discussions.
Thank you, John. Chris Beasley.
Morning, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Yeah, my name is Chris Beasley. I work here at the Air Force Academy, the 306 OSS, the airspace section. Standing in for Mark Stoffel today. He's on leave. This is, I've only been here a few months, so this is my first involvement or meeting of this type. So looking forward to learning.
Yeah, I know that feeling, Chris. Bill Nichols.
Yeah, good morning. Name is Bill Nichols. I'm the Vice Chair of the Colorado Springs Airport Advisory Commission. And I'm really here to, just sort of facilitate communication going both ways from the JLUS to the airport and also from the airport back.
Great. Thanks. Jonathan.
Yeah, hello, I'm Jonathan. Hello, I'm Jonathan Wash, Peterson Space Force Base, Civil Engineering Base Development. I work for Mr. John Anderson, who previously spoke. Yeah, interested in continuing partnership with the JLUS. And we've seen how JLUS highly facilitates coordination with agencies, particularly outside of DoD. So let's look forward to that partnership. Thank you.
No, thank you. Colonel June.
Yes, good morning. This is Jimmy John. I'm the Deputy Commander here at the Mission Support Group. I'm actually standing in for Colonel Bill Sullivan, who's my commander, and Miss Amy Kelly, who I know a lot of you have worked with. They're both at the same meeting right now. But I know for us, specifically, we're very interested in the stormwater collaboration. And at the macro level, we hope to encourage collaboration because a lot of stormwater issues cross boundaries and jurisdictions. So we're very much looking forward to this. Thank you.
Thank you. Aoka?
Hi, Ayoka Paik. I'm the community planner with Peterson Space Force Space, and I always love working with neighboring communities and installations, making sure that we have mutual benefit to any development that's happening and that we're not infringing on each other's rights or needs. So I'll be supporting Peterson in this effort, and then also being a liaison where I can between different organizations and different bases when they might need my support as well. I work for Jonathan as well.
Okay, thank you, Ayoka. Lewis.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lewis Littleton. I'm the project manager from the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation, formerly known as the Office of Economic Adjustment. I am very pleased to see all the people who in the agencies and coordination that's going on in this very first meeting for the implementation phase 2. So everything that everyone talked about, I am extremely excited to see come to fruition. So a lot of great work has been done in the past, and I am eagerly looking to see more to come in the future.
Very good. Thank you, Lewis. I'm glad you're here. Are there other folks I'm not seeing on the screen? Jess? That's it. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, let's see. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We've got enough for quorum. So, which means we could accept nominations for chair and vice chair and move upon that. So, do we hear any volunteers? No. Okay. Andy, are you better prepared to talk about expectations, chair and vice chair?
I think Ann might be
Or Ann?
with her
Okay.
familiarity and history.
Yeah, typically the chair will run the committee meetings, and the vice chair would run in case the chair is here. We typically have had in the past meetings of the committee every quarter, but we expect to see additional meetings maybe this last half of 2021. So because the grant is a 2-year grant, there would be approximately, I think, 8 meetings altogether, but there may be an additional couple of meetings just to help get things talked through if we have issues. Your main task is to hold Paul and I and our grant team of the environmental planner eventually accountable for our deliverables in the grant, which we'll go over later in the meeting. Above that is just participation, which we expect to be hybrid along with in person, so we can be adaptable that way to the needs of the chair and vice chair. So beyond that, you don't have to do any writing or any additional work. It's mostly showing up and being available for the meetings, whether it's hybrid or in person.
And just, yeah, beyond that, just working with staff to set the agenda for this quarterly meeting. So working with us to identify what's going to be coming down the pike for the next quarter. And then occasionally perhaps reporting back to the board of directors on the activities where we're making progress, where we need to shore things up and so forth.
Okay. All right. All right. And so with that, is that, can one of us nominate you for chair?
Oh, absolutely.
That was a foregone conclusion, Keith. Yeah, that's the downside. Do we have a second? All right, thank you. All in favor? There we go. All right, Keith, you are now our chair. Would you like to take over right now? You could, yeah. Hmm? Oh, yes, yeah. Well, Keith, getting vice chair will be the next next step.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
We have a nomination where he volunteered to be vice chair. Do we have, that's the first thing you have to learn, right? Do we have a nomination or a volunteer for the vice chair position?
Anybody online? Since we got an in-person volunteer, we need an online volunteer.
Look at all those hands up.
Yeah.
Did I see Bill's hand go up?
Greg, would you be willing to be the vice?
Sure.
Absolutely. I nominate Greg to be the vice chair.
All right. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed?
Does it send a message if I vote against it?
It'll be
You're
recorded.
outvoted. All right. Thank you, Keith.
All right. So we have a chair and a vice. Not having had a chance to speak with you much in advance about this, I gather it's your primary goal to establish some working groups today. Is that the idea? In the areas that you've identified. This is the implementation committee, which was our task number 1. Task number 2 is the stormwater collaboration to establish a committee for that. Do you, in previous iterations, I don't remember, did each of those committees have a chair, Andy? I would think somebody needs to.
No, the working groups, what we've done in the past is typically the JLUS team builds the agenda and the meeting packets, which is PowerPoints. And it's sort of a group effort, no particular chair or vice chair, although we can certainly follow that direction if you think that's the best way to go.
I think in effect, if you guys are operating as chair and vice chair and then developing these things to hold those meetings, that's probably the most efficient and the most helpful in keeping us on task. Seems to me.
Project lead, that's a worthy role.
Okay.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Great.
Keith, I think it's a good idea. We oftentimes send different staff to different meetings depending on our availability. So it's kind of tough to maintain that with individuals.
Okay. All right.
Right. Okay, so I guess we can poll the folks in attendance as to your level of interest in participating on any one of these separate working groups. And Paul, if you can make notes of anyone who has an interest in participating in that group, that will become the basis for that group. And you can add folks.
And we'll poll everybody else that we think
within reason. We're going to work specialists and the like on each of those issues. So do we have anyone in attendance who's interested in participating in the Air Force Academy stormwater collaboration? I'm sure we must have some.
El Paso County will, of course, be involved.
Okay.
We have the MSG commander or vice from the academy on, don't we?
Yes, we'll definitely be involved.
Okay. Will Amy Kelly likely be your lead on that?
She will.
Okay.
And if it helps, Keith, I did pull out some key extracts from our JLUS contract, which demonstrate or give the expectations of the outcome. And it's a nice guide as to what we're really attempting to accomplish. So if you feel that you're not quite sure what we'll hope to achieve, it's got a lot of good guidance there. So
I'm going to go way out on a limb here and suggest that while the specific target was the Air Force Academy, there are stormwater implications here for some of our bases that extend beyond the Air Force Academy. And it would seem to me logical that they participate in the process. We may find we have other issues to solve along the way, but I would encourage you, if you have any sort of, at your base, have any sort of stormwater impact, that you sign up for yourself or some other key member of your team for this working group. Would that be appropriate? And
Copy that, Keith. Yes, it would be appropriate. And Mr. Chair, may I interject one thing really quickly? I've been informed that we have a Zoom license that's going to run out. So for those of you online, sit tight. We are going to send out a new Zoom link and you'll be able to rejoin our meeting. So we apologize for the glitch. So just be aware of that.
All right.
And Keith, if this matters, there is a region-wide stormwater effort, and we anticipate will be a subgroup on that, so.
And I remember, because I added a comment when I reviewed the JLUS plan, that we added stormwater as one of the key areas of interest for all of the bases. Because stormwater doesn't stay on a base, it doesn't stay in the county or the city, it goes everywhere. So we added that to all of them. So I agree. I think there's certainly probably an interest from all the bases and certainly from all the municipalities, given that we have a permit with the state of Colorado.
So I'm not sure what latitude we have to expand the reach of our JLUS task number 2 Air Force Academy stormwater collaboration. We certainly want to focus on that, but I think we need to come to understand the stormwater implications for all of the bases, and maybe ought to just say so right up front. Yeah. Lewis, is there inherently a problem with our doing that?
No, and thank you for calling on me, because I was going to hop in and say exactly that the overall intent when drafted was that this effort would basically do what you just said, take the stormwater perspective beyond just the Air Force Academy and beyond the city of Colorado Springs, and provide that connection and collaboration for the other installations and other communities of interest. So you guys are spot on.
I think
it has to be a broad collaboration. The minute Tri-Lake satisfies their stormwater issue, they've created one for the academy, and so on down the stream. So it's important.
Lewis brought up a good point. I don't see anybody on the call from City of Colorado Springs, so I guess I'll volunteer Peter to be on that as well. I
Mr.
don't know if he's
Vice
the
Chair?
point of contact, but
May I jump in real quick? This morning, and we were not aware of that when we scheduled the meeting, but the city has their planning commission meeting this morning. That's why they're not here. So we'll work on timing these meetings a little bit better in the future. And the other thing too, Lewis, if you have a second, can you elaborate a little bit further on the distinction between the MOU between the academy and the city on stormwater and what we're doing as part of this grant?
Sure. So the Academy City Stormwater Grant focuses specifically on stormwater